Hello all. We're about to do a podcast. Well, this will be turned into an audio as well. So I'm just waiting for the guest. Hi Jason, how you doing? I'm just waiting for today's guest. There he is. And here we go.
Hey.
Right, I'll just do my little intro. I'll do the little intro and we'll start it up, okay? So here we go. So copy. Open your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. With me, Sifu Boggie. Sifu means guide, means someone who points you along the way, who guides you on your path. Boggie means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. And for the last 39 years, I have studied the Taoist art. The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. And I've studied things like Qigong, Tai Chi, Kit Ta, Tui Na, Ba Kwa Chan, Xing Yi, Yan Zhong, 5-element cooking, 5-element theory, I Ching, Taoist philosophy, and many other techniques to help people find their very own personal way, path, or Tao. And I've helped people with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, migraines, many different ailments and injuries. Also, I've helped Reiki masters, life coaches, light workers, healers supercharge themselves and ensure they never burn out. So that's who I am and what I do. What's the show all about? This show is The Way of Conscious Mindfulness, a regular podcast show talking spirituality and science, balancing it with health and well-being, with mind, body, and spirit, with a Taoist twist. What does the Tao mean again? The Tao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, surprise, surprise, this isn't a normal talk show. Anything with me in it ain't normal. Each week, we have a subject or guest. Today, we have a very awesome guest who we will talk to shortly. And our goal, our aim, is to have an open discussion to help us all find new techniques, new skills, new ways to balance our very own personal way, path, or Tao. So let's introduce him, the gentleman himself. Good afternoon for me. Good morning for you. I think maybe just. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing wonderfully well. Doing splendid. Thank you, Sifu.
You're more than welcome. Well, this is your show. This is The Way of Jerome. So what is your way? What is your personal Tao? That's the question.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. First off, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love your energy, Sifu. Thank you. This is awesome. Such a pleasure to be a part of this, your podcast, and really just, here with you. And I know that I'm going to learn something. I definitely know that I'm going to learn something here because you have so much knowledge that you bring to your wisdom, your experience, your expertise. To answer you, I feel like my way in the world has sprung forth from, intense just curiosity, just a curiosity for life, a curiosity for living, and always keeping that door of perception open to be able to peek through to another possibility in life. And I feel like my Tao, the reason why I'm here and my purpose is to allow my passion to be able to have an impact on this generation and the next. So using my voice in this way, I've been able to do that, and I'm enjoying it thus far.
Yeah, and I love your shows. I love your lives as well. They're very cool, and the different people you bring on, and just and hearing you talk about. I remember it wasn't the first one, but I remember the one where you was outside. We talked about the sunshine and the sun, and that was the first time we sort of went on live together. And I mean, you've got like I say, you have got great passion, and we all have something. The whole idea is we're all the same consciousness. We're all part of that, same energy. So we all help and grow from each other. Where did it start from you? Where did it begin? Where did your journey begin?
Which journey?
Any, all journeys, any journey. So I mean, the path you're on now, the things that you're doing now, where did that start for you? Did it start something very similar, very obscure? Did it, because that's the whole point. All our journeys are interconnected. So what led you to what you do now? Let's put it like that then. What led you to what you do now?
Great question. Yeah. I would say I would go back as far as 2017. So I would say 2017 was when I first really delved into and took a deep dive into meditation. And this came to me by way of actually the technology that we're using. And it was two apps. There was one app called Headspace, and the other app was called Insight Timer. And these two apps came to me, and it got me to sit down. It got me to just breathe. It got me to just be still and be silent and just be in the moment. And through that meditation, I was able to essentially kind of slow down to the speed of wisdom and life. That was just, I was in the hustle and bustle vibration, that beta brainwave of just always doing. And it slowed me down to a level where I was able to appreciate everything in my life at that point. And that really opened me up to see things that I did not see, that were right in front of me the whole time. So I'd say meditation was my beginning on this journey.
Yeah. Meditation. And of course, I mean, for me, there is a lot of people scared of that word and don't understand that word. And that whole thing of a lot more people meditate than they realize, because meditation simply means focusing on one thing and forgetting everything else. So if you love reading and you get lost in the book, or if you fish, you're a fishing person and you go fishing and you get lost. Anything where you get lost, anything that you say, oh, where's the time gone? I didn't realize that's meditating, because
Right.
you're cutting out everything else. You're cutting out the forebrain. The forebrain. We say that science says that you have 60 to 90,000 thoughts in the forebrain. The monkey mind is what the East calls it. And when we focus on something, we're drawing from the conscious into the subconscious, and we're distracting ourselves. We're distracting the monkey mind, the conscious, with repetition. Something to do, and then we allow ourselves to actually drop back, and that's what meditation really is. It's not rocket science. It's something quite simple, and there are many forms. Qigong is a form of meditation, because you're focusing on one thing and forgetting everything else, and so that helps the mind, the body, and the spirit, and it does other things as well. So yes, meditation is meditation is a very interesting thing, and it's the whole thing of the science behind it. So it activates the pineal gland, which activates your melatonin, your melanin, and the DMT. So the DMT visions and whatnot. Which is always cool. Well, like people say, oh, I don't take drugs. I say, your whole brain is a drug then. Adrenaline, when you're excited and happy, adrenaline, they actually sampled adrenaline and they found it 5 to 8 times more powerful than cocaine. That that adrenaline itself is it gives you and they've also found that adrenaline mixed with other hormones in the body, where people, or a lot of people say, God, he's on speed, because he talks so fast and so hyper. And it's like, no, baby, it's all me. It's all natural. And when you dream, if you visualize, if somebody, they close your eyes and think of a brown chair with red leather seats and pink fluffy cushions, and if you can see that easily, and or if you dream and your dreams are quite visual, your pineal gland is fully active, so that actually excretes DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is a drug, which people say, oh, that's a hallucinogenic drug. But when you sleep, you're basically hallucinating. You know, you're basically tripping on DMT. And it's same with meditation. If you can do meditation, you can, you know, and see wonderful colours or go off and, you know, and visualize different stuff. Again, that's because the DMT is being activated in your brain. So our brains are natural drug things. You know, they create these chemicals that allow us to do these different things. And that's the whole point. Our bodies are far more marvelous, far more powerful than we've been led to believe. You know, we focus so much, you know, our civilization to get advanced. They focus so much on the outside world and outside technology, but your brain, you know, everything that we creating in a technology wise, our brains can already do. There's so many things that I'm sort of saying to many shows that you know, like things like psychic abilities and remote viewing. You know, they all exist. People think they're a little bit woo-woo and a little bit, you know, out there, but the ST 500 index businesses have been employing psychics, remote viewers, healers. They've been employing all of these people for at least 50 years, you know, 50, 60 years. And they do that because they work, because they know, you know, they don't care where it comes from. You know, I know people who were employed as remote viewers or even use psychics with crystal pendulums to find diamonds, water, oil, find different minerals, and companies have paid them $5, $10, $50, $100,000 to do this. And it's like, you know, and yet we're still saying, oh, that doesn't exist. You know, it's like, well, no, companies know that exists. Companies, you know, and that's the thing. We've got to get this past this thing of you need technology to do certain things. You know, with technology we can read minds, or we can, you know, we've had those abilities for hundreds of thousands of years. You know, there's lots of stuff we can do, but you know, and the things like meditation, qigong, they unleash it, they open it up.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
So I mean, I know you do meditation, but you've also studied qigong. Now you call yourself a breatharian. So for those people who don't know what that means, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, you know, so it comes from the ancient word inedia, and this means to eat very little or none at all. And so, you know, being in this lifestyle, I started with liquidarian. Like, I didn't even know these two words existed before the year 2019. That was when I found out that breatharians and liquidarians, people who were able to subsist on liquids or just very minimal amounts of food, and then some people who were able to subsist on air, just nothing, just, you know, the energy that's all around us, the chi. And we call it different things. You know, some people use the term our electromagnetic field. I know in Japan, they might say ki, in China, they say chi, in Africa, they might say ka, and like different places use different terms and phrases to describe essentially the same things. So what we're talking about, like in India, they use the word prana. So with pranic living, you know, it is not the air, but it's in the air. You know, it's like we're pulling something else. Something enters us as we breathe and as we're breathing in and breathing out. And so these are one of the mysteries that are kind of like, it boggles, you know, scientists, and it boggles them still for years. They're still boggled by how people are able to live this way. But so many people have undergone research and studies and been under the close watch of different cameras and people like studying them and seeing like how are they able to function and still go on living past the points that we say are no return. Because I was definitely raised up believing that if I did not consume solid food for 5 days, then that was it. Or if I didn't consume a liquid for 3 days, then I was supposed to be gone, you know, that my vessel was supposed to perish. But now we are expanding our minds to more possibilities and understanding that, yeah, we're kind of circling back in a way. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Cool. Very, very quickly. So the Lizo can. Sorry if I butcher your name. You're saying about the sound. Is it my sound or is it Jerome's? I can turn these mics off. I don't know. How's my sound for you? Is it okay?
It's just a little fuzzy. Yeah.
Oh, we'll try it this way then.
Now,
Oh, nice.
is that better?
Very nice. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've now got you on the. Now I have to struggle to hear you on the speaker, but that's okay. If the sound is better, then that will work with that. So yeah, so the Breatharians, oxygenators, they're also known as. There was actually people that there was case studies done back in the 90s with the three main groups that I know of. There's a set in India, there is a set in China, and there's a set in Tibet, and they, you know, like you said, basically to have a tiny little bit of water every single day, but they're mainly they're mainly on the air. But and as you said, there's something in the air. Well, it affects the science is that it affects the bioelectric channels. So your heart is a biomagnetic bioelectric field, and it creates like a tora, a donut shape. And when you're happy, that tora field expands, and when you're scared or angry or frustrated, that shrinks. And wherever that field is, everything inside that field grows and is it's increased. It heals, increased. But everything outside the field, the cells start to break down. So depending on that field, if you can expand that field, it actually increases the cells. It heals the cells and repairs the cells, and that's part of it. And the oxygenators or the breatharians, they found that from many hours of daily practice, their saliva, they would say, and you sort of, this is one of the things where you know where you're getting it to the correct point. They would say that the saliva tastes sweet. There's a sweetness to the saliva, and they were actually sampling these breatharians or these oxygenated saliva, and they actually found that the saliva had more nutrients in it than the drips. So the hospital drips that a patient is given when they kneel by mouth to keep them nourished. They found that there was actually more nutrients in their saliva than that's in the drip solution. That whatever is being created by the body's creating the saliva that's literally nourishing and feeding the body.
It's amazing.
So within Qigong, so there's a whole thing within Qigong. You get to a certain point, and when you come to the end of the in-breath, and if your mouth's full of saliva, you swallow. You swallow that elixir, and it's called the golden elixir. And because I was actually sort of looking after some of the scientists in China. So in the China one, there was a scientist, and the biggest thing with a lot of it, these guys were practicing, is that you were very close or halfway up a mountain. So you had the mountain air and altitude, you had a forest, and you had ocean and or sea. Ocean and or lake. Because the ocean, oceans ionize the air. That's why I've moved down to the coast, because it always supercharges me, the ocean, and it ionizes the air in a particular way. And but that as well was, they were getting pure air, pure cleaner air, so that was helping circulate and charge the body. So that, for those practitioners at least, they did that as well. That they really studied on like that they were doing 18 hours, around about 18 hours Qigong or energy work, breath work every single day, and as well as the clean air and the ocean, it was very much vitalizing them and bringing them up to a limit. So if you're, it helps to be to be near a forest or woods, or it helps, but just breathing in a particular way, breathing when your breath is deep and long and gentle, your movements are deep, long and gentle, your feelings are deep, long and gentle. But when your breath is fast, erratic, and tense, your mood is fast, erratic, tense. Your actions are fast, erratic, and tense. So there is this thing. This is one of the Taoist sayings about how you breathe affects how you feel and how you act.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and how we think, it's like how we do anything is how we do everything. Yeah, I love the correlation. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, so that's so you've been you've been focused on that on breath work, the breatharian, and you do qigong as well. What other techniques? What other things do you do to as part of your system, as part of your balance?
Yeah, I really do enjoy qigong. I enjoy tai chi. I sit in meditation. I enjoy chanting. That's one of the things that I've adopted in the past 2 months is chanting. Also, sun gazing was something that I started in 2019, and I still sun gaze today. Not as consistent as I do qigong, but I still sun gaze when it's up there and looking very nice. I'll take a look at it and spend some time with the sun. And other practices would just be your general form of exercise, walking, doing exercise around the house, just making sure that I continue to stay flexible, keep moving my body. And as I keep moving my body, I keep moving this energy, because we are like energy generators in that way. Like as we move the body, we continue that generation of energy as well. So that's another form of nourishment for me, actually, is movement nourishment, getting the energy moving.
And I mean, it's all very, very important stuff. And I mean, like people like us, obviously, we do lots of things. But even if you just do one, if you focus on one thing, focus on the breath, is definitely a good start. The whole thing of the sun charging is a very good thing, and I think people misunderstand that, but it's the whole idea of you drawing in that light. You don't have to, you don't look directly at the sun, but it's drawing in that light and drawing near. But the dawn and dusk is a very good way of doing it as well. So, and that's where the best times to do breath work or qigong is at the dawn and dusk in the direction of drawing in that sunlight. At dawn and dusk, there is a very particular energy that comes in, especially from the sun. So sun gazing or even breath work meditation at dawn and dusk is a very cool thing, and brings in a lot of energy too. So so I mean, so what else have you experienced, or what's from these? What have you learned? What have you learned from these different practices?
Yeah, well, with sun gazing specifically, I did feel after a certain amount of time, like maybe a month or so, I really felt connected and felt like I was communicating with this cosmic intelligence. It really felt like I was receiving light codes, like something was streaming into my vessel, because my podcast content started to change. Like you said, the breath started to slow down, the heartbeat went down, and it's just, I became so much more peaceful automatically. And it was a very natural and just easy process. It felt like just looking at the sun was just like its own meditation. And I just was overwhelmed at times with this love. Like sometimes it gets me emotional just remembering like what it feels like when I was really like watching the sun and just looking at the sun for maybe 30 to 45 minutes a day. That was when my practice was at its height with sun gazing. With Qigong, that was when I had my first Kundalini experience with Qigong. So doing a long period of Zhanzhuang Qigong, the standing like a tree, just in the different positions, this something happened. My body came into alignment one day after a long session, and this electric energy started running up and down my spine, and it was like bliss. I never knew that I could feel like that on energy. You know, I never knew that energy could make me feel so elated, you know. So without anything sexual, without any substance, without anything externally, this energy was coming in my body, and it was just, I just, it blew me away. It blew me away, you know. So that was one of the most profound experiences, and that was back in 2020. So last year around March, April, that happened. And it hasn't happened again since then that profoundly, but keeping a consistent practice allows me to just, whenever I need to, I can feel the energy. And I went from having to do the long poses and finally feeling it in my hands and stuff to now being able to localize it wherever I want, whenever I want. So if I'm just standing in line at the DMV, or if I'm at a movie theater and I'm just, you know, wanting to just, you know, get a quick meal in of the energy, you know, take an energy, what would you call it? And like either an air appetizer or energy edible, you know, at that moment, I just sink into the position and I allow myself to relax. And the more relaxed my body, the easier the energy flows. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of, you know, qigong meditation, qigong, they're technologies. They you know, it's like we're a lot of people focus on outside technologies, as we sort of said, but you know, these are internal technologies, and the whole idea of them is that, you know, you can use them anytime, any place, anywhere. There's especially the ones that, so the standing tree meditation, Jam Zhong is their name.
Yeah, yes.
So, ZHAUNG I think, if I remember rightly,
Yeah.
which is the
You
Pinyin
got it.
translation.
Yeah, you pronounced it correctly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is that with the standing tree is you hold that form a little bit like a jelly mold. You know, you want the inside of you to be all relaxed and floppy, but you're holding that position, and you're only using as much tension, but not tension, but as much tension is needed to hold the hand. So you're not holding it. You know, you're not making your hand very stiff, and you're not stiffing all the muscles. The whole idea is you're totally relaxed in that position. And then what happens is that it's the science behind it is that it's stimulating the fascia, which is this thin layer of, it's almost like it's sort of like orange pith. The white stuff inside an orange or a lemon, and you have this thin layer inside your body. Now, that the science actually knows that actually contains light. That light passes through the fascia, but it only happens when it's relaxed but stretched at the same time. So holding the different positions, you're actually stretching the fascia, so inside, you know, this layer of light, this layer of tissue, almost like I forgot the word, the old the light cable. I forgot the word, but it's like a layer of light running through your body, and when you stretch it, slightly stretched and relaxed at the same time, it allows this energy to flow through, and then that activates the heart. So inside the heart, you have the biomagnetic and bioelectronic field, which the Russians, there was a Russian physicist that actually created this camera, and they actually found this, as well as they actually found meridians. They call them bioelectrical channels, and they found them around about 20 years ago now, around about 2000. But they find with the heart, this bioelectrical field of the heart, as you get more relaxed and happy, that expands, and as that expands, everything inside that field gets more energized, starts to build up, and that's the whole thing where you're saying you're feeling like the electricity running through your body. Well, you are. You know, there is an electricity through your body. You know, your brain is an electrical impulse, and you know, so that electrical energy does actually run through your body. And the whole thing of, you know, like we are literally beings of light because of the fascia. Energy runs through us, electrical impulse runs through us, and an electrical impulse, magnetic impulse is all frequency. It's all light frequency. It's all energy. So the whole point of standing in the correct posture allows that energy to grow. The great thing with like the Zhangs especially, and the tree ones is so there's one where like you're holding your hands sort of like hugging a tree at heart level,
Right.
where you can have a book. You can hold a book, you know, and be holding a newspaper, and that. So, you know, you're totally inconspicuous. You know, you're reading a newspaper. You're actually doing a qigong exercise. I've done that quite a few times. Or standing, you know, like standing still, and your hands down by your side, and there's a position called Wu Qi. So Wu Qi is your hands are by the side, and imagine like you're almost like two bags of shopping by the side of you. So there's a little gap in your armpits. You're not like Mr. Muscles, but you put your armpits open, but your hands are relaxed down by the side, and you know you open up little gaps in the fingers, so you're not tensing the fingers, or they're not like this, or not like this. And you have flexing all the tendons, which activates that fascia, and this helps generate the energy. And basically, we're talking about the oxygenators. That's one of the exercises they would do, is this Zhanzhong and the different positions to generate that energy. And each qigong is like an app. Each qigong helps your body, helps your mind, and helps your spirit in different ways. And that's the whole, you know, the whole point of qigong is that each one does different things. And Zhanzhong is a qigong. You know, if qigong was music, then Zhanzhong would be a style of music. Tai Chi would be a style of music. A Bakwa Chang would be, they're all different Qigongs. You know, people say, oh, Qigong is better than Tai Chi. Well, no, it's the same. That's like saying music is better than country and western or rock and roll.
Right.
One is the other. So it's the.
I love
it's
that
whole,
analogy. Wonderful analogy. Yeah, wonderful.
But the magic, the true magic or true Sifu understands the whole point of your life is a qigong. You know, like everything you do, you can turn. Like I said, you can read a book, but you read a newspaper or book in a certain way. You drop in the shoulders, relaxing the body. So you know, holding up. You can do everything you do. You know, like if you ever seen like Shaolin monks, when Shaolin monks sweep the floor, they make it into an exercise. They're sweeping, they're breathing in, breathing out. You know, they do everything as a gung fu or kung fu, as we say in the West, but it's actually gung fu, and gung is the same gung for qigong. So qigong and gung fu is the same thing, because it means exercise or work. And it's the whole idea of everything you do, you can turn into a qigong. You can turn into an energy exercise. And so it's not about, I haven't got time to do qigong. Well, no, you do stuff all the time. You turn qigong into, you use those same techniques in your daily stuff, and then you're doing qigong. So you can easily do 18 hours of qigong because you can turn everything you do into a qigong.
Exactly.
But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, I love that. You know, how your life can become that, you know, how you incorporate it, you integrate it into everything that you do. You remind me, Sifu, of Karate Kid, you know, the newer one where Jackie Chan was telling Jaden Smith, you know, the way you put on a jacket, the way you take off a jacket, you know, everything is gung fu. Everything is gung fu. Yeah. So, yeah, I love that.
Well, this is the difference between the West and the East. You know, before communism in China, you know, the whole idea of everything is mind, body, and spirit. Qigong, Kung Fu was known as the 3 M's, which is medical, martial, and meditational. So every technique had a medical side, so healing self and healing others. Everything had a martial side, so either fitness and or fighting, and everything had a meditational side. spiritual, energetic, and everything was under the three M's. So everything you did was under three M's. And even the word martial arts, everybody, you know, people hear it, but they don't listen to the actual what they're saying. Martial is the strategy. Martial is the practice. Is, you know, the martial side is the repetition, doing things over and over again. The art is allowing it to flow, is allowing it to, you express oneself. Bruce Lee said that martial arts is not about fighting. Martial arts is about personal expression, expressing oneself fully, completely, and honestly. You know, and again, in the philosophy of the three M's, martial, medical, and meditational. Martial, so a martial art in wartime, yes, it's for fighting, but in peacetime, it's for physical fitness. You know, it's for, and that was with everything. You know, massage. People think about massage. Well, in China, in peacetime, it's massage. It helps you relax, but it's also massage can actually help you awaken your pineal gland. It can help you activate your fascia. It's I've done massages on people where they've had vision quests, they've done remote viewing, they found themselves other places, they've had past life regression through the massage, because massage is waking up the energy systems. But massage also is grappling techniques. You know, in wartime, massage is death touch, is nerve strikes, is, you know, everything has, you know, has another meaning. Everything has another thing. Music, in peacetime, music is about, you know, dancing and fitness and having fun. But certain music can also, on the meditational side, music can open up your spirituality. It can help awaken you, and it can, you know, how exactly. Oh, see the flute. Oh, we'll get onto the flute in a second. but also martially, music was about, you know, music was in the ancient times of like the warriors and you know, music was about what, you know, they'd charge people up for war. You know, it could get them riled up and ready for battle. So everything has a healing side, has a fighting side, and has a spiritual side. You know, nothing is what is one thing. And the flute, see, the flute is a very interesting thing, because obviously flute is beautiful music. It activates, you know, spirituality, but the flute also activates the lungs. So because it is a wind instrument, and the lungs are all about the air. So so in the ancient knowledge, flutes were actually for the practitioner. Blowing the flute would strengthen their lungs, would actually heal their lungs, and that sound would actually activate the hearing. It could affect tetanus, or people get ringing in the ears from flute, and it would actually be clearing their ears. So the whole point, again, music had a healing quality, it had a spiritual quality, and it had a physical quality as well, whether it was fitness or whether it was used for war. Everything is interconnected to everything else. This is why both the samurai, so the samurai warriors of Japan, the Shaolin monks, they would do lots of different things. Like the samurai were very much well known for the tea making ceremony. They would make tea, and that taught them strategy. That taught them, you know, how to do things in a certain way, and they taught them patience. They would learn calligraphy, so they learned, you know, the art of painting and writing, and that was wrist techniques for sword work. So it strengthened their wrists and gave them flexibility. They learned bonsai, the art of the baby tree, and that again was patience. That was about understanding how nature works. It was understanding about rooting. Everything is interconnected to everything else. That's the whole point.
Oh, I love this. Love this. So much history in you. There's so much in you.
But as any good Tao should say, hey, what do I know?
Wow. I love it. You know, just listening to you speak, I just feel like, you know, just all the ages are like being streamed from you, and I'm being able to like absorb this information. And I just really feel elevated just by listening to you speak. Thank you, Sifu. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. So, but yeah, I mean, so music that seems to be a passion of yours as well. What has that inspired, or when did that start for you?
Yeah, so this started actually a little bit before I discovered breatharianism. So this was in 2019 as well, but earlier in the year. And I just walked into a thrift store. It was a Goodwill in California. And I was going to get a piggy bank. That's why I was there. And I stopped on a section of the shop and I was staring at this instrument for like 2 minutes. I was just looking at it and it was almost like it was calling to me. And there was a little toy version and it said made in China or Taiwan somewhere. And it was only $3. So I spent the $2.99 for it and I took it out to my car in the parking lot. And for the life of me, I couldn't play one note. Not even one note. It just, that's what it sounded like the whole time. And for hours, it was just like that. I thought the instrument was broken. And I did research. I looked up YouTube videos. I said, what is going on with this? And then when I talked to other musicians, they were telling me, no, it's, it's the embouchure of your mouth. Like you have to form it in a certain way to make the air split into the bamboo and to produce the sound. And so it also had to do with me being calm and me being centered because it was a meditative instrument. And when my heartbeat was up, I wasn't able to play it properly. And when I was more at peace and more at rest, I was able to play it more effortlessly. So it took me a whole day to play one note. Just one sound took me a whole day and I was hooked. I was hooked on it. I was like, oh my gosh, just the difficulty of it alone captured me and really captivated me because of the wonderful sound. So the instruments that I play, the shakuhachi, and it represents the Japanese reverence for nature. And I understand the Komuso monks of 17th century Japan used to play it in place of like saying mantras or doing sutras. They would play this instrument, and it kind of, with the breath, as you were saying, you could reach states of enlightenment with the breath as well. So I really enjoy how I've been able to incorporate it today, and through this sound, not only healing myself, because I'm like the first one to receive the vibration, but other people who are able to listen as well. So it's just more joy coming through, more love circulating, and more of that healing energy for both parties. So yeah, it's a wonderful journey.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. Is one of these other understandings is that the journey always starts with you. They talk about the journey starts with every journey starts with one step. And what they actually mean with like we say, oh, one step, oh, it's starting, but one step is actually you. Is you have to start in yourself. And that one step is you actually, starting that, taking it on. But the one step is also this fact of that all healing always starts inside and then works its way out. And when you get people who say, oh, if you focus on yourself, that's selfish. And it's like, no, it's not at all. Actually, focusing on others and not yourself, that's selfish. Because when you burn out, what happens then? If you're there for other people, but you burn out, then what happens then? You're no good to anybody, and
Right.
then somebody will have to look after you. So the whole idea, the truth, the understanding is that we all need to look after ourselves first, and this is where the sayings of I have a cup, I have my cup. So breathe in the chi, breathe out the sha. So
the body is the healer.
Yeah, indeed, that as well. So we'll have to do a mug live. Say, oh, I got this one. Oh, I got this one. I got this one. So because I intend to do a whole load of like Sifu Boggie sayings as well on different mugs.
I gotta get one of your Sifu cups. Sifu, I gotta get a Sifu Boggie cup. Yeah.
We'll have to arrange that then. We'll have to arrange a Sifu cup. So this is the very first one, but there will be others. And yeah, but the whole idea of, before you can help anybody else, you have to fill your cup up, you know, and that was the whole thing of when your cup is overflowing, then you can help others, you know, then you come others. But there's this little like twist in the tail on that one, is because when they talk about knowledge, they say you want to have an empty cup. So you want an empty cup up here, but in your heart, you want a full cup. So you want empty here, full down here. Where normally with it, people are the other way around. This one's overflowing with knowledge, wisdom, and getting all cocky and, you know, and ego, but their heart is empty, and, you know, they feel empty, they feel not fulfilled. And that's because the wrong cup is filled and the wrong cup is empty. So when it comes to knowledge, you know, you want to be like a child, you know, always in awe, you know, finding things, find whatever your passion is, and learning is to new stuff, and have an empty cup in the knowledge point of view. But when it comes to your heart and energy, you want to be overflowing, because when you're overflowing, and back to that bioelectric energy field, when that field is overflowing, as in when it expands past your body, it then starts to affect other people. And there's actually science. This is actually science, not woo-woo, it's actual science, that they know that this bioelectric, biomagnetic field, it expands, and when it expands, it starts to affect other people, which is why it is said in the past that Mother Mary, Mary Teresa, Gandhi, Buddha, these people were said to have their bioelectric field, their aura, or their Torah field, their Torah field was very expansive, that people could feel it. And you get people, you know, you say, oh, when they walk into a room, everything lights up, or when you fall in love with somebody, your field grows. People say, oh, you're a lot happier, you know, you feel different, you've changed. And that's because your energy, because of the love, is expanding that field and growing outwards. So goes to that metaphor of having the heart, having that cup overflowing with energy. When that's overflowing, then you can help other people, and you can help other people with ease. Because people say, "Oh, Sifu Boggie, you've always got loads of energy. You always, you know, you always. I always feel charged when I'm near you." And it's like, well, that's because I tap in. You know, energy is, in actual fact, is a little bit, you know, the universe is like a universal plug socket. And, you know, whether you call it Reiki, whether you call it Qigong, whether you call it Tao, you plug into that universal energy, that helps you fill up. When people are only working, you know, when people help others but don't charge themselves and not connected to that universe, then it's a bit like a torch. You know, your torch has got power and it's got light, but it can run, or your phone, it can run out. And then you have to plug it back in again. So when you plug your phone into the wall socket, you charge it up from the universal energy. That's so sun gazing, breatharian work, Qigong, meditation, that's charging, that's plugging yourself into the universal wall socket. That's what charges you up. So it's this understanding of you know, having that energy overflowing, and when it's overflowing, you feel, you know, colds, you hardly get colds, or you heal quickly, you heal quicker, you feel happy, you feel stronger. When you're short of energy, that's what, you know, cuts take longer to heal, you get colds, you get more stressed easily, you're low of energy, you're low of Qi, Jing, and Shen. So Qi, physical vitality, Jing, emotional vitality, Shen, spiritual vitality. And, you know, that's one translation within like the Tao, you know, within especially Dragon Dog Shaman. They talk about these three energies, the Qi, the Jing, and the Shen. And they are your mind, your body, the spirit, your physical vitality, your emotional vitality, and your spiritual vitality. And that's what keeps you going. And it's just about, you know, having these energies, tuning. The names don't matter. You can call it banana, strawberry, and raspberry. I don't, you know, you call it what you like. But it's knowing that they exist. It's knowing that those energies exist and tapping into them. That's the important thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love your humor. Yes.
Yeah, so it's one of my things, it is, you have in the West we talk about divine feminine, or a woman talks about divine feminine, a man says divine masculine. But actually these are qualities, these are energies. And sacred child, these are energies. So I always say, whether you're a woman, man, banana or goat, you have divine feminine energy, you have divine masculine energy, and you have the sacred child or divine child energy. The feminine energy. Feminine energy is about nurturing. It's about loving. It's about caring, being like a guide, being a parent. That looking after, maintaining. The masculine energy is about getting things done. It's about protection in a way, not necessarily about fighting, but just standing there saying, "You want to mess? Come then, mess with." It's a bit about standing firm, but it's also about action and creating stuff. And the child energy is about the awe, the wonder, the empty cup sort of sense. But it's also about that playfulness. And we're meant to be all three. We're meant to be the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and the sacred child. Even to the point, I was a little bit tiptoeing now because I'm tiptoeing into religion, but within like Christianity, within different religions, they talk about the Trinity. Yeah. And the Trinity they're actually talking about is the feminine, the masculine, and the sacred child. These energies are all important. And like I say, they exist everywhere. They're in everything. But it's about balancing them. It's about learning to balance them. Because if we're too masculine, then we get too aggressive, or we get too, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or woman, banana or goat. If you get too masculine, you get, too aggressive, or too, you get into like destructive or too heavy-handed. If you're too feminine in that energy, you can get too emotional or too affected by everything, and you misunderstand things. You're too much, or you're not enough sacred child, and a lot of people have lost the art of play, and lost the sense of wonder and awe. So it's these energies all exist, and they need to be balanced. And when they're balanced, you get full of light. You get the light shining through and overpowering you. So I'm trying to close the blinds in a second. But yeah, it's all about balancing these energies. And from balancing these energies, you have your cup overflowing. That cup there. I say you want this cup empty. So you're always learning something new. There's always something more to help you grow and flow. But as any good Taoist should say, hey, what do I know?
I love it how you always bring it back. You always bring it back to that. So humble, so humble. Hey, what do I know? I love it.
Well, there's a whole humour, but because if you forget to say that, or if you forget to bring in that humour, you start getting into this. Oh, I know everything, and I am a master. See, Sifu and master. And there's a difference. A Sifu is a guide. A Sifu is a muse. They help you. The sunlight coming in, that gives me information. They can, as you said, the sun gives you knowledge. It's really subtle. You have to listen. You have to shut the puck up. I said puck. You have to shut the puck up to be able to hear that information. And that's the thing. Sometimes you have to be quiet to be able to pick stuff up. If you're too loud, you'll miss all that information. Bruce Lee once said, it's like a moon pointing towards the finger, but do not look at the finger or you'll miss all that heavenly glory. So it's that idea. You have to listen as well as speak. You have to listen, which is a feminine quality, as well as speak, which is a masculine quality, action. So you need the action and the reaction. You need to be able to listen as well as do or say. And that's the whole point. And so that whole idea of being a bit childlike or childish by saying, hey, what do I know? Gives me that humility. It reminds me that there's always more to learn. There's always more. So, because otherwise you talk too much, you get blinded by the light. You can't see anything, and then you miss the point.
Yeah, but I truly believe that. I agree. Like, I truly feel that the master is the master because they're always a student. You know, they remain a student, and that's why they're referred to as the master. They've never stopped learning. They've never put a cap. You know, like Bruce Lee said, you know, there are no limits. There are only plateaus. We must not stay there. We must continue. We must go beyond them. So I love how not only you're constantly teaching, but you're constantly learning. You're constantly acquiring. You're giving. You're receiving. You're the masculine. You're the feminine. And you're allowing yourself to be a conduit and a channel for the information that's flowing to you and through you, to and through us. So yeah, really appreciate just you just being in service and embodying that truth. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. You know, it's all about, you know, it's being, it's, you know, it's being everything. Like they say, the good. Well, they say the Japanese will say the master has made more mistakes than the beginner knows. You know, and that's why they're the master. You know, they've learned and they've gone through that trial and error.
Right.
And you know, the Chinese, the Taoist way of saying it is that, you know, the Sifu learns from the students, and a Sifu actually pays more attention. You know, the whole idea of a Sifu is someone who learns from the students, learns more than the students are learning. So that you know, that's the idea. And a good, you know, if you really want to learn, one of the sayings is, you really want to learn, teach, because when you teach, when you're trying to explain, you know, you can't teach something you don't fully understand. Because if you don't fully understand it, you know, there'll be gaps or people will ask you questions. But then you learn, you know, you pick things up and you'll grow from that information. I mean, you know, I've been learning this stuff for 39 years. I've been teaching for, I've been teaching almost for 39 years, you know, learning for almost 40. And, you know, I started off, you know, my teacher would say, right, teach this, teach this, teach this. And you start off on little things and build up. But there are exercises that I've been doing for 39 years. And because those exercises are the Sifu. You know, they will teach you stuff, and you can do something for a whole lifetime, and it will still teach you stuff that you can never stop learning from something. If you stay open and be like the child, you will always pick up something new. And that's what itself for me, Qigong is all about. The body, you know, it is putting yourself in those different postures. And how do I feel today? What's going on today? What am I going to learn today from those exercises? And you will always grow and you'll always expand. There's always more to pick up. It doesn't stop. We just think it stops, or when you sort of you hit a middle ground you can do an exercise, like I said, I've done exercises for 39 years, and sometimes, you know, you think, oh, nothing's happening, you know, all the aha moments are gone, there's nothing new. But it's just it's the calm before the storm. You know, is that everything is moving. Even a mountain moves, just in a very minute, slow way. So everything's growing, everything's building. It's just about learning, about going with that and flowing. And patience is a very powerful tool. Is learning to be patient with yourself, learning to be patient with the things around you, adapting to the situation, you know, whether it's like adapting to a little bit of dodgy sound or adapting to whatever it is in life. When you learn to flow and be like water, you adapt, you change, you can adjust to situations. Bruce Lee said, the Taoist said it first, is when water flows into a cup, it becomes a cup. When water flows into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Water can go through the smallest of cracks, and enough of it can break a dam. If you want to be anything, be water, my friend. And, you know, and that whole idea of this adaptability, the flowing, you know, is that water is very subtle. It's yin. It's that feminine energy. But it can become very yang. It can become very forceful, very powerful. But it adapts, and that's your mission, your role is to become like water. Is to adapt and twist and turn and be what you need to be every moment of every day. But hey,
what do I know? Oh, you landed that. I love it. I love it. You nailed it.
Water can grow and flow, but hey, what do I know?
Yes, yes. Oh man, this has been a treat. This has been wonderful. Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it. So, I mean, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to express to the world before we wrap up?
Yeah, just just stay on your way, follow your Tao, and just embrace why you're here, and understanding that, these things can change, like with everything. They say like everything changes, there's impermanence and all these things, but embracing whatever that means to you, and just understanding that as life changes, we can change, kind of like the caterpillar in the cocoon to the butterfly, and just spreading your wings, and just embracing yourself and who you are, who you see yourself to be, and understanding that, this is your story, and you're always writing it, through everything that you do, through everything that you intake and everything that you consume. You're constantly in a state of becoming, always. And that there's never a point where I feel like I have arrived, like I'm finally here, like, yes, yes, this is it. It's always, always expanding, always growing, and always evolving. So yeah, just enjoy the journey. That would be the message I would have for people, to enjoy the journey. Yeah.
Indeed. And if anybody wants to find you, where can we, well, obviously we can find you on here, but where else can we find you if we wanted to learn from you, or get know more about what you do? Where can we find you?
Yeah, of course. All the links to my YouTube channel, my blog, like everything you would want to find is on my Instagram. So that's just at Jerome Shaw, at JROMESHAW. And then also the podcast that I go and I do a podcast every single day for inspirational content for people. That's on the Open Palm. So the Open Palm podcast is streaming everywhere, all platforms that they're played, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. You'll find mine. So that's for you. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. You have been, I think you're actually show 292. So I'm 8 shows away from my 300th show. I've been doing this ever since I almost said 1960. No, not since then. I wasn't even born then. Since 2016 I've been doing these shows,
Wow.
and it's actually Brendan Cullington, Mystic Spider-Man, or Paradigm Shift. He was the guy who actually inspired me to start these off. And so the 300 show is about 8 shows away. So that will be an interesting one, to say the least. It'll probably be an open house, so I might invite you to that one as well. So you have to come to that one. So guys, if you're interested in finding me and what I do, well, I'm here on Instagram under Sifu.Boggie. You can find me on Facebook under The Way of Sifu Boggie. Also, The Way of Conscious Mindfulness, which is the podcast fan page. You can also find me on YouTube. On YouTube, Sifu Boggie, surprise. There's also a free Qigong on there, had over 10,000 hits, called Willow Tree Qigong. So there's a simple exercise to help people experience that energy, experience Qigong. Or you can also find me on Bring You to Life, which is a network, and they are also on, or you can also find me on Spotify as well, either under Sifu Boggie and or The Way of Conscious Mindfulness. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I'm seeing down below the Plasma Goddess. She's actually coming on very soon. She's going to be doing a show next week, I think. She's going to be doing because I know you've had conversations with her as well.
Yeah, wonderful.
And that's it. Indeed. And that's it from me for now. So guys, hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much, my friend. It's been a great pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Well, we must do this again at some point. And everybody else, remember, open your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness.
Woo!